Hey everybody, first vlog in a long time. I have been journeying and working with the Spirit of the Land. It's been really good and taken me in a lot of different directions. Today I want to talk about our place in the ocean. Some of you may know that a lot of us here in the Monterey Bay Area have been socked in fog for months. Fog, aka the marine layer. And that's an interesting process because on the one hand it can be really great because what happens is when there's heat inland but close to the coast, so say a lot of heat in the Sacramento Valley, in the San Jose area, it sucks the coastal fog in. And so when people are baking hot, sometimes we're gray and cold, which when it's really hot, is wonderful for us, so we don't have to bake. But when you're sitting in gray skies for months after months after months, you start to wonder if we're really going to be able to grow our food that well. And the great news is, yes, lots of things grow in this kind of weather. But I decided to journey to the Spirit of the Land to talk to her about these gray skies. And she immediately took me on a journey to the ocean. And really the whole journey for me was about the relationship of the ocean to the land. And she was really clear that I really am not getting that, and I really need to go deeper, and I will continue to go deeper. I felt like I went got a certain amount of what she was trying to tell me. The relationship of the land to the ocean. Our piece of property was underwater in a freshwater saltwater marsh probably a couple thousand years ago, and we have a very sandy soil that if you go to the Elkhorn Slough in that marsh area, you can kind of find some of the soil that we're gardening in. And that's part of why I think this is such a rich farming region, is because this whole area was floodplains, coastal wetlands, freshwater, saltwater, just these really incredibly abundant estuaries for aquatic life and for the birds, of course, but breeding grounds for fish. And there's still a ton of that going on in the Elkhorn Slough, but one can only imagine how rich this area was 1,000 years ago, especially before industrial farming practices. So the journey was really taking me deeper into the lunar cycles, the tidal cycles, the cycles of the ocean, and how incredibly connected to that plant growth is here, and that she's having a great time. The land is doing really well in this kind of gray, foggy weather. And certainly the land doesn't see it in the same terms that I see it. I think more sun, more growth. But it's a very different approach to think of the ocean and the life of the plants as being so intimately connected. Especially when you kind of see that all of our farming practices are kind of trying to cut that off. So nothing really conclusive to say about it, other than it's all good and it's all okay. I will throw in this parting note from my training as a sommelier, which is somebody who has some amount of expertise in wine. Some people are saying that the last great vintages of Bordeaux are behind us because old world style wines need a certain amount of crappy gray weather like this to grow in. Centuries of winemaking technique evolved out of making grapes that weren't huge and bursting with flavor wrought by a hot sun, but rather were a little bit tempered by their environment. And that kind of interplay with gray, foggy skies and unpredictable drizzle called the winemakers' skills forward, and I think probably in a way brought them more in tune with the winemaking process, and probably also prompted techniques like biodynamic farming, which are very based in lunar cycles, which are also connected to the tides. So I guess I'm feeling like, from my sommelier perspective, the whole trends in environmental change, global warming, I'm just kind of seeing the oceanic lunar dimension of that, and how there's a whole dimension to growth cycles that is changing now, probably quite rapidly because of global warming. That will really be kind of the lead, the guide for us, probably in the future in terms of how we farm, how we garden, how we raise our food. So all good, and hoping to dive deeper into the ocean in future vlogs and future journeys.
Along the floating, shipless oceans, I did all my best to smile till your singing eyes and fingers drew me